Good Wednesday to you, everybody in Com 731. Welcome to week boom bam 11. How's everybody doing? Hey, hang on. Last of the cafe latte, even though it's later in the afternoon. That's better. Now, I am here again, Dr. Jeff Gardner, your sufficiently caffeinated communication instructor. How's everybody hanging in there? All right, we're week 11 now. We are past the halfway mark and coming around that back stretch, soon to be in the home stretch. We got November, then just a little bit of December. In fact, mostly all November. Okay, so this video, we're going to talk about what we're going to do this week by way of readings and questions. And then the next video, we'll take a look at what we did last week. Okay. So one of you pointed out that on the syllabus, it says we're completing the new digital age this week. I'm looking for my copy. It's somewhere around there. There it is. But we completed last week. Yes, that was on purpose. Sort of on purpose, a slight typo. I need you to have completed the new digital age. That is the Schmidt and Cohen book. Next week, week 12, then we will start on not-for-profits in the digital age and the new century. Again, I think my book's somewhere up there. And we're going to really shift gears, okay? And in doing that, we're going to look at the not-for-profit sector, which is an area that I don't think gets nearly enough attention, and one that I've worked in for going on a few decades now. So look forward to that. But for this week, what I want to do is juxtapose the predictive nature of Schmidt and Cohen about the transformative power of the online mediated space and social media in particular, and the world population. And we're going to do that by way of some research. I'm going to give you access to some research that I did, that I started. It really sort of started percolating in my brain back in 2013, 2014. I have worked in global humanitarian media for many, many years in some 27 countries. And what that means is I go out and work with humanitarian organizations. Some are concerned with food security, some with natural disaster intervention, some with war, famine, these sorts of things. And I go there with them and show them how to operate their organizations efficiently, and show them how to capture and then use media to effectively promote their organizations and their organization's mission and their organization's need for funding to specific audiences. In general, I specialize in non-Western and or humanitarian organizations that are working in non-Western places in presenting that message to Western audiences. So how do you talk to Westerners when you're not a Westerner? Okay. And while I was doing this, I started it really in like 2009, 2010. So, almost 25 years ago, 15 years ago. I started noticing that I was seeing social media in some of the weirdest places. I remember once, in fact, I was having dinner with a group of Maasai out on the plains of Kilimanjaro in northern Tanzania. It could have been over the border in Kenya. I mean, there's not like a chalk line on the ground, after all. And we were sitting on the ground. It was near sunset. He was a chief of a very small band of Maasai, and he had just commanded one of his wives to start dinner, and her response was she grabbed a goat from the herd, brained it, basically killed it, skinned it, and then cut the back leg off, stuck it on a stick, and then stuck it over the low fire that we were sitting around. It was chilly. It was in the little rainy season, so it was a little chilly. And as we were sitting there, not a scrap of industrialized any presence of civilization anywhere. I mean, there were man-made structures. There was the boma, the cluster of huts that they lived in with a fence made out of cut acacia branches, which are very thorny and they keep lions out. And then this cluster of huts. But outside of that, not a fence post, not a wire, not a nothing. All right. So I'm sitting on the ground, having a very pleasant chat. And this man's son is standing next to him wearing a traditional Maasai wrap. It's called a tobe. It's just this one single piece of cloth with a leather belt, holding a staff, and then a cell phone. And he was texting on the cell phone to his younger brother, who was out herding cattle. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of weird. So I started seeing social media pop up in all sorts of places. But what I didn't see was this phenomenal transformative, transportive effect that Schmidt and Cohen started writing about. So I said, okay, I've been to some places in the world, but I haven't seen everything, not by a stretch. There's a whole lot of the world to see, and I've only seen a teeny portion of it. Maybe there's something I'm missing. So starting in, I really started to scratch my head and think about this in 2015, 2016. Between 2014 and 2018, when the war with the Islamic State was raging, I was working in Iraq, Jordan, and Syria, helping those who were the target of the Islamic State in a variety of ways, with humanitarian relief and some others relief. And I was in and around a number of the detention camps for the refugees. Now, technically speaking, if someone is in a country and they have to flee their home, the UN doesn't call them a refugee. They call them an internally displaced person, which I found ironic because the psychological damage that was occurring amongst those victims was profound. And I thought, yeah, that is internal displacement. I mean, they were just knocked off center. But, jargon aside, they were put in large detainment camps. I thought, okay, here's a, and we're talking like nearly 1 million people. So I thought, okay, here's a distressed body of individuals. Let's ask them. Let's ask them if they are finding social media to be the tool by which they can resolve their most pressing problems. And in this case, their most pressing problem was they had been displaced. They were in extreme extreme economic pressure. The foodstuffs in the camp were limited. Their access to foodstuffs outside of what was being provided in the camp was limited. Even just basic necessities. They were housing them in shipping containers that they were trying to rapidly convert into something that looked like a home. The power was always going out. I mean, a lot of problems. And I thought, all right, let's just ask them. Do they see access to this material, all the world's material through these portals, through these platforms, as a means by which their problems get solved? And so I started asking them, and I did a study, and I did a mixed method study, quantitative and qualitative, and I produced a dissertation. So here's what I want you to do for this week. I want you to go to the Regent online library. Okay, and if you're a Regent student, you have access to it. And I want you to look up the following work. Okay, Jeff Gardner, Strangers to the Village, Social Media Among Displaced Assyrian Christians and that word is pronounced Ankawa, Iraq. And that is the dissertation that I did for Regent University. Okay. And no, I don't want you to read all my dissertation. And the point of my giving you this exercise is not, you need to read my dissertation. No, what I'd like you to do is read the introduction, read chapter 5, and this is where I discuss the results, and then read Appendix C. All right. And once you've read those 3 parts, okay, then I want you to go to the discussion questions that I posted for this week, week 11, and answer the questions. Now, my study isn't the definitive study. It's not all the peoples of the world. It's just these peoples within this particular place in this particular time. Okay, there were several thousand of them that were surveyed, so it's not a small number. It's not an insignificant number. But what I want you to do in answering the questions is to think about what the data reveals, at least for these people in this place at that time, what the data reveals about distressed people's attitudes towards social media weighed against what Schmidt and Cohen says, social media and the media platform can do for peoples of the world, distressed and downtrodden peoples of the world. Okay, that's the point of this exercise. All right. So, I don't think there's any of you that wouldn't have access to Regent Online Library. I mean, as students, you're given that, right? But if you have any problems getting to this or at this, please let me know. And I think I'd probably scare up a PDF copy of the dissertation and then post that up. Okay. All right. So that's the assignment for this week. The next video that we're going to do here in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about what we did last week. Okay. Everybody have a blessed remainder of the week, and I'll see you in the other video as well as on Canvas. God bless.